Okay, we're going to talk about the introduction. This is more important in fan fiction than it is in original fiction. Actually, that looks like infro, but it's intro.
Infro.
And why I say this is more important is because when you're writing an original story, you have to introduce everything. So, you have to start from word one and build the entire thing. And it's so much easier to do that, to explain everything in your own way and in your own time. But in fan fiction, and you want to use all canon characters, but just have one character that's your own, you have to figure out a way to bring them in without interrupting the story, and without offending your readers, and without making them lose interest. And it's hard sometimes. I have a couple tips, but pretty much you just have to rack your brain. How can I introduce this character in the most unobtrusive way? And a lot of people don't think about this. They think it's spotlight time for Mary Sue. When I read stories that were like high school stories of the anime, sometimes they would have like assemblies. And then march in Mary Sue, look, we have a new student, it's her. And I was like, who's gone to a new school? And like stood in front of the entire student body. Hi, I'm new. It's ridiculous, yes.
Like, I was just thinking, like, with introducing characters, if you look at, like, filler episodes within animes, like they do with, like, Bleach and Naruto, they take, like, a segment of the story, and then it's, like, stretch it out, and they're like, and then this happened instead of what really happened.
Yeah, for real.
Anime has Mary Sue's in it. It really does.
Sailor Moon, like, the biggest, most Mary Sue's ever.
Anyone seen the Bleach movie?
Yeah.
Do you know what movie I'm talking about? The Mary Sue Bleach movie, where some girl just pops in and Ichigo just follows her around all day for no reason.
Really?
No reason. She's
That is
not
so
an
random.
interesting character whatsoever. And he's suddenly like, I should follow her around
But
all the time.
This came out after Twilight. So again, we're back to
yeah.
Twilight.
Season 5 of Dexter.
With Julia
Really?
Stiles. That one?
Now I'm gonna cry. I didn't know that yet. That makes me cry.
Well, she won't be the first. But I still liked it. It wasn't that bad. But yes.
So what about taking a scene from the anime and just say, some other, like Soldier A is just there, and that's when you introduce your character.
Just in the scene?
Yeah.
That should be the way you do it. Yes.
Inserting your OC like shamelessly into the story and making her like beloved by all the male characters.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Love
yeah.
at first sight type thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of similar to the Naruto movies. He always gets a girlfriend
Oh, does he?
and then she's never mentioned.
Yeah. Those are the Mary Sue's in anime. And they love doing that for their movies. I don't know why, but they do. Yes.
I have to agree with that person. I see that all the time. If you're gonna put an LC into a story and she was a main character, it shouldn't be this love at first sight.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah,
in
sure.
reality, it just generally doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I actually really like Mary Sue stories, mostly because I like to read romance, and most of the shows I read fan fiction are filled with dudes. There's like 2 girls maybe. So, if I want to read a romance, I have to read about 2 characters, or I have to hope somebody makes a really good story. So I don't mind it, but so I have read a lot. Let's see. Or my introduction. Also, what I see a lot is the second Mary Sue walks in, they're like, the canon character, hi, I'm so-and-so, and Mary Sue's all, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm 16, I like this, and I do this, and I wear these, and my favorite food is peanut butter. And you're like, they do, and we talked about this, because somebody put it in their bio, but they have no idea to put it in this, they don't know how they're going to put it in the story, but they want to, but the story doesn't need, if they say like, I like to play baseball, but you never actually played baseball in the story, it's irrelevant. It's cool that you thought of it and maybe later it would come into play, but if the story doesn't need it, you don't need to tell us. So we don't want to do an info dump right at the very beginning when your character comes in.
There's also the fact that if you're introducing multiple people at the same time, don't introduce them all at the same time.
Yeah.
They just get lost.
Yeah. I would do
Introduce them at least
Yeah, that's
between chapters or something, you know, give us a chance to memorize these names.
These new characters.
Let's see. I think I wrote down some tips here. Do not ever begin your fan fiction with your original character. Always begin with canon characters doing something. Because if your reader, especially on fanfiction.net where there's just piles and piles and piles of fanfiction, if they click on your story and the first thing they see is a character they have no idea who it is, they're going to go somewhere else. So do that first. I don't even care if it's that relevant. You know, just
Playing
establish,
chess
yeah,
in a
you're
corner.
like, these are my characters. Let's do something fun that will give everybody a kick, you know, to read about them and get them interested. And you'll know they'll say, oh, this person writes well. Let's see what they're doing. And then if you bring in the character later and we've already got the plot going, they're like, oh, well, you know, this plot sounds interesting. Let's keep going. Because sometimes you got to, see, I'll get to you in a second. Sometimes you kind of have to trap them a little. Like, I don't even... Yeah, if I have to bring
There's
a
lots of
character in, I
risks
don't
with
even say anything,
yeah.
like even in the teaser. Because the plot should be about the main characters. And really, if you bring in a character, I always say the plot has to match the character doesn't have to match the plot. Did I get that right? My dyslexia coming in? So the character has to have something to do pretty much. They have to, you know, like they have to, when they meet, gosh, I can't even think. When the original character meets the canon characters, there has to be a reason, and you can't stop the story and just be like, "Hi, I'm so and so. Now we're gonna keep going." You know, they have to have something to do, and they have to have something to do throughout the. Yes, we'll just.
Sorry. If it's like a fan religion or right story for where the canon is to introduce the character on the first page and introduce their name and scrapbook stuff about them, is that still acceptable in fan fiction?
Are we talking? You said a canon character?
Anything is acceptable in fan fiction,
Yeah.
realistically, but if you want to make it good,
Yeah.
maybe not so much.
The canon setup and home stuff is Andrew Hussey just introduced John on the first page, full of info. And it's still a good story and it's still something that draws you in. Is that still acceptable in fan fiction?
Like she said, everything is acceptable. There's better ways to do it, but I would not suggest doing an info dump at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But if you mucked through it and you read the rest and it was really good, you can tell your friends and say, hey, it's really good. Maybe skip the beginning. You know, people are always stretching their legs in fan fiction and they're doing what they can for their story. If you still liked it, there's nothing wrong with it. You know, Daisy back here, and then we'll get you up here.
I've been finding a lot of fanfics lately where it's basically they're just taking like the canon and storyline, whatever, and adding in their OC, like which involves rewriting parts. So basically, their OC is the main focus from the beginning. How do you feel about those? And are those usually very a good idea at all? Like pretty much OC, like basically OC insertion as the prominent character.
It's fairly common, especially with like action shows, that when the OC comes in, she brings the villain with her, and the guys have to save her from the villain. And it can be done well. I like watching guys save the girl. I'm old-fashioned, you know. The girl can be spunky too, you know, she can fight back as well, but that's your plot. It gives the character something to do. There's absolutely nothing wrong. I mean, it's like the oldest plot in the world. Mario Brothers is about saving the princess, you know. And I love saving the princess. So, you know, if that's one of my most popular stories ever was a Save the Princess story. Or, you know, the female character comes in, she's bringing all these villains with her because they're after her, and the guys come in and they're heroes. And I like seeing the guys be heroes too, you know, and that's you know, so I like the shows with all the guys in it. So that's the fan service, you know, the guys being macho and saving the girls, and yeah, so that's my bread and butter. So there's really nothing wrong. Like, I've had horrible plots, awful plots, but you can seriously shine that turd as much as you want, and you can make a good story out of it, because there's a lot of really good stories out there that you can strip them down into a very basic plot and it doesn't sound that great. But it's all about the adventure and the characters and what they do and how they interact that, you know, there was like a car commercial that their slogan was, "The thrill is in the journey." And, you know, that's the story is all about the journey, and you can take whatever plot you like. If the reader has a good time getting to the end, you once again, you are the winneringest, and you did your job. Up here? Yeah. And then I'll get to you.
Screws up the stories, or so when did this happen? What's going on? I like just playing in their world, creating my own character and them reacting in that world.
Then that should probably be AR.
Or a
I've
side story.
actually,
Or just like say Mass Effect or Avatar, The Last Airbender, like it going on in that world at a different time and just how those characters just playing in their world.
there's nothing wrong with that. There was actually I'll say kind of like a movement or like the it thing in the X-Men fandom where a lot of people started writing fan fiction about what it was like to live in that world and in that time when there was the mutant scare and people were hiding their powers and there wasn't necessarily any canon characters in it, or if they were, you'd just see like the X-Jet fly by, or, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. It's the thing with fan fiction and using the canon characters is it brings in readers. People will go look for their specifically favorite characters and they'll go find those, you know, and read those. And if you don't have any canon characters, you may not get as much traffic, but that doesn't mean you can't, you know, practice your writing. It doesn't mean you can't write a good story. And the fandom will still at least understand the world you're writing in. And there's some people who will totally, oh, this is all original characters? Well, let's take a look at that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I'm just trying to give you guys the tips to like sucker in your reading, so they'll at least, because some people won't even look at a story if there's an original character in it. If you say it in the teaser, they'll just skip it. Some people are like that. So I'm just trying to give you tips to kind of at least let readers give your story a chance. So they'll at least, you know, check out the first page and see if they like it. Lecker?
I have a question about the introduction. I'm an avid fanfiction writer and reader, I'll admit that. In one of my
Most of us are.
stories,
But we're here.
I introduced one of my characters without actually introducing the character in a familiar setting. Is that possible? Because it seems to have come to a lot of attention.
So we're saying like the character's already familiar with your OC when the story started, or?
It's basically a character in a familiar setting, but it's not exactly it's most likely in the prologue. So I'm a big fan of prologues because it kind of, for me, actually puts in the setting of what might actually happen in the future.
If it works for your story, do it. Did people like it when they commented on it?
No, they commented on it a lot.
Yeah, but did they like it?
Yeah.
Yeah, then you won. Ultimately, that's your job. I mean, some people do it for fun, and some people do fan fiction because they want to practice for original stuff. Your job is to entertain your readers. If you entertain your readers, you won. You did your job. No matter if you did it differently than anybody else. If they liked it, good.
And I think a good deal is, and this probably is the main thing that you write, the way you draw the line between Mary Sue's is if your original characters are just secondary characters, mainly, you know, as vehicles for the plot, and they're not overshadowing the canon characters. I think that's it.
Yeah, don't overshadow the characters.
I do the original stories. So I just have a question for fanfic writers in general. Do you ever feel like the setting, in order to make it not a Mary Sue character, limits your creativity?
As you mean like if I don't?
Well,
I don't know if it limits you.
I think it can go both ways, because sometimes...
Hold on. The thing is, though, like, even because I write Mary Sue's, because like I said, I want a romance. I have no girl characters. I gotta make one. I do whatever, and every writer should do whatever's interesting. Sometimes it's cliche. Every story has been done before a bazillion times. Some people do it better than others, and that's how you gotta do it. But really, I honestly, I'm not really sure how to answer the question. I'm kind of floundering, but I'm about halfway done, so I have to move on, guys.